Hello, my name is Def, and today we'll be going over Simon Subdivides. Simon Subdivides is a new Speaking Evil module, and quite frankly, it's fun to do.
All available experts, please report to room A9.
Alright. So, the first thing we need to take note is the order of the colors on Simon Subdivides. But before we do that, I will say that after you press a button, or after the last button press, it will divide into another 4 segments. So let's say if my order, like if I pressed red, blue, green, and I was correct, then green would divide into 4 different segments. One of them being red, one of them being blue, one of them being purple, and one of them being green. So that's why we have to note it down. So, let's see. I'll have Notepad open here, and the order of our colors is, and the lights are out. But while the lights are out, I'll briefly go over the explanation of how this works. So you get an initial color, and you get your flashing sequence, and you use both of those to get directions, and those directions tell you what buttons to press. And this will get more complicated the more subdivisions you have. So, I thought I'd turn pacing off. Apparently I didn't. So, first thing we need to get is our initial color. Actually, first thing I need to do is write down the order of the colors. And I'm writing down main because once it splits, you can't go back to see what it originally was. Now, to get our initial color, or our current initial color, we take a look at the serial number.
Emergency cleared. All personnel, please return to your
we
stations.
find the earliest occurrence of either green, red, violet, or blue, so G, R, V, B. If any of those are present in the serial number, you take the first one that comes, that is present, so from left to right. However, since we don't have any B, V, R, or G's, our initial color is going to be the top. And it's always going to be the top if you don't have it in the serial number. So, initial is green. And let me make sure that Notepad, that this is captured. Yep. Okay. So, after that, let's write down the sequence, which is green, 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 green. Okay, 5 greens. Actually, let me make sure about that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah, sure. Odd. So, what we also need is the last digit of the serial number, which is an 8. We take that and modulo by 5, so basically just subtract 5. And we use that corresponding grid with the amount of well, actually, let me rephrase. We use that corresponding grid, and after each sequence, we're going to move 1 to the right. So 8 minus 5 is 3, so we're going to start in grid 3. But once one of these divides, then we're going to move on to grid 4, and then grid 0, and then grid 1, grid 2, and then back to grid 3. So, what we do is, and this is a bit of a bad example, but later in the video, or after it divides, you'll see what to do better. So, what we do is we take the initial color, and we use it as the row in our current grid. And then we take the color of the first one that flashes, which is green, and that gives us right. Then we take the color, so now we're on flash 2. We take the color of the previously flashed and use that as the row. So the previously flashed was green, and our current flash is green, so we use the current flash as a column, which is right. And because we have 5 greens in a row, it's going to be 5 rights in a row, which is why this specific one is a bad example, but, you know, let's roll with it. So, what we do now is we just press right 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as you can see, it divided. And the divisions are not always going to represent their, the initial grid. So as you can see, purple here is on the top, when purple was originally on the right. So, let's see. So now, since it's divided once, we go on to grid 4. And this is when our note-taking is going to be a little bit different. Instead of it being just writing down what color flashed, we're going to write down the color that flashed, the generation, so how many times it split, or how many times it split plus 1. So for example, this hasn't split yet, and plus 1, that would be generation 1. This has split once, so add 1, that's generation 2. And the direction of it. So we have red 2 left. Let's see. Sorry, we have red 2 right left, because you go right, and in this small assignment, you go left. So after that, we have red 1, and because it's generation 1, we don't have to write a direction. This is just for, like, organization purposes. The right left. Because at some point, you're going to have multiple divisions, and you're going to have to, like, keep track of which one's which. And blue 1. So we go back into the grid, and a thing I forgot to mention, but it doesn't apply right now. After every 2 grid moves, so every time you hit a number or a grid that shares parity, which is basically even or odd, of your current grid. Actually, no, I'm lying. Never mind. Every time you move 2 to the right, so from grid 3 you go to grid 0, then grid 2, you switch your color 90 degrees clockwise from your main grid, or from your main flashes or colors. So remember, so we started out at green, but once we hit grid 0, our initial color is going to turn to violet. So that's just something to keep in mind. So, we take our initial color, and we do the same thing as before. However, there is one small difference. Notice that we start with generation 2. Whenever you start with another generation that's not 1, you have to use the column of the previous divisions, or the undivided divisions, I should say, as the columns first, keeping the row the same. So, what that means is, so we still use the initial color, or the initial row of green, but red was on the right, so we use violet first, which gives us the direction of right. And then, because it's only been one division, we then go back to red, which is left. So for any subdivision, you go from generation 1 all the way to generation 3. And you use the same row throughout that. So obviously, the green violet gave us the right, and the green red gave us the left. And now, since we're done with this specific color, we can move on. So we're on this color now. The previous flash was red, and our current flash is red. So we're gonna press down. And then the previous flash was red, and the current flash is right, or the current flash is blue, which gives us right. And here is where it gets a bit confusing, or not confusing, but here's where the directions can loop around. So as you can see, we can't just press right because there's four colors on the right. So for each subdivision, you take into account the amount of flashes or the amount of directions it takes to get to a specific color. So since our first two are right then left, we go right to this subdivision, and then from the center of the subdivision we go left and we press that one. Then we continue on as normal. We go down, and then it says for us to go right. But we can't go right again, or we don't have anything left. So the sequence loops around. So after this right comes another right. So right gives us blue. And good thing we only have one subdivision here, because I almost forgot to write down the right subdivision. So right generation 2 is violet, red, blue, and green. And if you ever forget about your things, oops, this pushed it down just a little bit. Let me shorten the game size just a tad, and get rid of some spaces. And that looks annoying in OBS, so there we go. So if you ever lose track of which generation you have, or rather what color got deleted, you can just use the other three to determine what you have. However, if you have two subdivisions, or if you have two things that are divided, and you didn't write either of them down, good luck. So, now then, we have, the current sequence is red 3, right, and then red 1. Now, we're on to grid 0, and because we're on grid 0, we've moved twice, so we're going to switch our initial color, and it's going to switch 90 degrees clockwise to violet, because that was the one originally on the grid, or that was the one initially present. So violet is our initial color, and the current flash is a generation 3. So again, we start with the largest undivided square that was originally present, which was violet, because this entire grid was, or this entire segment was entirely violet. So we start with violet, which gives us the direction of up. Of up. Then after that, we take in the generation 2 that was there, which was blue. So our next direction is down, and then we take the current flash, which is red, which gives us a right. So once we're done with this color, you should, after you do one color, you will always get that many directions from its generation. So for all Gen 1s, you'll get one direction, for all Gen 2s, you'll get 2 directions, and for all Gen 3s, you'll get 3 directions. And the module will solve once your final press is on a generation 3. So it won't divide any further. So this is all from the red generation 3. So our previous flash was red, and our current flash is also red. So our final direction for this is down. So let's input this. So we have up, down, right, and because we're in the center here, we have to use the next direction, which is down. And that also split. You don't have to write down the generations, any Gen 3s. You just have to write down Gen 1s and Gen 2s. But even that is not strictly required. Alright, so it's subdivided, so let's move to grid 1. Alright, so we have blue 1, violet 3, violet 3, and that will be right, down, left, because we go right, then down, then left. And then we have red 1. So, our initial color is still, or our current initial color is still violet. And the current flashing is blue, which gives us a right. And now we go on to the next color. The previous flashing is blue, and the current flashing is a violet Gen 3. Now, again, we start in the outermost shell. So the rightmost will be violet, because that is our initial direction from the main. So we're going to use violet for this, which gives us right. Then, within the generation 2, we go down, which gives us green. So that's going to give us left. And then we can use the flashing color of violet, which gives us right. And violet, since we're done with this color, we use violet as the last row, or as the row, and then we go on to our current flashing color, which is red. So the intersection of that is left. Oops, I alt-tapped the wrong one. Okay, so then we follow these directions. Right, we're in this center. Right, we're in this center. Left. Then we go right, left. Let's see. Huh. You learn something new every day. Apparently you can only have one flash. Interesting. So, we have just a singular flash of violet, right, down, left. That's generation 3. So, we go back to our manual, we move on to grid 2, and because we've moved on, since we have 4 subdivisions, we're going to move 90 degrees clockwise from our current initial color. So, from violet, we get to blue. Now then, because violet is a generation 3, we have to start in the outermost shell. So our initial direction indicates that we go right, which is violet. So that gives us a direction of down. Then, down from violet, or down in the generation 2 grid, gives us green, which is left. And then we can finally use violet as the final color, which is down. So blue and violet gives us down. So then we just press down, left, down. So we have violet right up, violet 2 right up, and then violet 2 down, left. And I guess technically you don't need the last direction, but again, for organization purposes, I like to keep them there. So, now we're back onto grid 3, and our current initial color is still blue. So, let's see. And if you ever lose track of what your initial color is, all you have to do is count the subdivisions and go that many clockwise, or divide that in 2 and go clockwise 90 degrees go clockwise by that amount. So for instance, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 subdivisions. Divide that in half and round down, that gives us 2. So 2 clockwise from green is 1, 2, which gives us blue. So, blue is our starting color, or our initial color rather, and the first thing we have is violet, and it's a generation 2, so we go to the main grid. So we go right, and that gives us violet, which is down. And then we use violet again, which gives us down, because that is Gen 1, then Gen 2. Then we take the previous flash, which is violet, because we're done with this one, and again, it's a generation 2, but this time, instead of going right, we're going down, because it's a different violet that flashed. So, down from the main one, we get blue, which is the direction of up. And then, because we're done with the generation 1, generation 2 is then violet, violet, left. So, down. Okay, so going down once, we get into this mini grid, and then down again to press that. And then we press up and left. Oh wow, this one's not being nice. Okay, so let's see. We're now on grid 4, and if I remember correctly, let's see. So right now I forgot if I need to move or not. So let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I go clockwise 3 times, which is 1, 2, 3. So I do actually change, and my initial color is now red. And let's write this down. We have blue, 3, right, down, up. And then blue, 2, left, left. It seems like only 2 flashes this time, so hopefully this might solve. Alright, so we take our initial color of red, and blue's a generation 3, so we're going to start from gen 1. And gen 1 is, let's see. Generation 1, we go right, that gives us violet, which is down. Then right from violet, ooh, I forgot to actually write down the other one, so give me 1 second. It shouldn't take too long. I just need to have these divided. So down generation 2 would be red, violet, blue, and green. And this one, left is let's see. Left generation 2. This one is green, blue, violet, and red. So now we're just gonna make a nice 4x4 grid of 2x2 grids. So that's awesome. Anyways, where was I? Oh yes, okay, so we took the right from the generation 3, which gave us violet, and the direction of down. And because we're in the right generation 2, we go to this one. And it tells us here to go down. So we're going to go down to green, which gives us the direction of left. And finally, we use the direction of blue because it's generation 3. Alright, and now we're done with this color. So let's switch this to be the row, and let's use this. And this is a generation 2, so we're going to use the generation 1 color, which was red. That gives us left, and then we can use blue, because that's the final one. Well, because it's Gen 2. So that gives us up. So again, let's follow this sequence. Down, we're in this subdivision now. Left. Then we go right, left, up. Now, if the final, I think I said this before, but it doesn't hurt to repeat. If the final button you press is supposed to be, well, that you're supposed to press is a generation 3, then the module will solve like so.
This is exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen.
Oh, really? 23 minutes for that? Huh. Yeah, so this module can vary in length greatly, because you could have to do 3 button presses, or 3 sequences, or you could just do the amount of subdivisions I just did. So, let's see. I'll do a second example. First, let me just clear all this up. Hopefully this one isn't as long as this one, but I feel like this one was pretty good.
All available experts, so please report to room A9.
Let's see. So, again, let's write down our initial color, or our initial grid. Actually, you know, let's do something. Let's write down you know, we gotta make it pretty. That's always... Right, the goal is not to defuse a bomb, it's to make yourself pretty while exploding. So, these haven't divided yet, so I'm just gonna replace these with X's. Have this say top, and have these be X's. And our main one is going to be violet, blue, red, and green. So, again, let's take a look at the serial number. Do we have V, B, G, or R? The answer is no. So, our initial color is going to be violet. The last digit of serial number is 9, so we're going to start in grid 4. Alright, and let's take the flashes. Blue, red, violet, blue, violet. Alright. Now, our first flash is going to be, well, our first flash is blue. So, again, the row of the initial color, which is violet, because that's top, and the first one flash, which is blue. So, we go right. Then we take the previously flashed one, and the current flash of red, which gives us left. Then we use red as the row, violet as the column, that gives us down, violet as the row, blue as the column, which gives us right,
all personnel, please return to your stations.
Blue as the row, and violet as the column, which gives us another right. So, we press the sequence, right, left, down, right, right. So now, right flashed, or right divided rather, so that gives us blue, violet, red, and green. And let me make sure that OBS is still picking this up good. Yes, it is. So, what we have now is green 1, violet 1. Oh, mess things up. And violet 1 again. So, since it divided, we move on to the next grid. And violet is still our initial color, so we're going to use that as a row. And none of these are Gen 2s, so... none of these are Gen 2s, so we're not going to have to do anything special. So, let's see, green is the first color, so we go left. Then green is the row, and violet is the color, or violet is the column, rather. And that gives us right. And then we have violet, violet, which gives us up. So, oh, that actually divides on the Generation 2s, interesting. So, we're gonna go left, then right, up. Let's see, so what do we have now? I'm losing my voice, give me a second. Just gonna drink some nice H2O. Remember, gamers, always hydrate yourself. So that we have violet 1 now, blue 1, green 2, right left. And it flashed violet twice at the beginning, I almost missed that. And I should mention, at this point, I forgot to in the last example, but if you press something wrong, or if you get something wrong, right, and you press the wrong color, the sequence will reset, but the divisions will stay the same. So, let's see. Let's take a look at this. I also forgot what grid I'm on, so let's see. 9, we start at 4. It's divided twice, so we should be on 1. So, we've moved twice, so 1 clockwise from violet is red. So our initial color is going to be red. And then we have violet. Violet is just a group 1, so, or a gen 1, so our direction's going to be down. Then our next flash is violet, which is going to be down. Then our next flash is blue, which is going to be right. And our next flash is a generation 2. So we use blue as a row, and then we use the initial we use the initial spot on the grid of where green is now as the column. So green tells us to go right, so our color that it was initially on was red, which gives us direction of right. And still using the blue row, we take the column green, we take the column of green because it's a generation 2. So that gives us down, down, right, right, left. So down, down, right, we're in this subgrid, right, left. And let me write down the left generation 2, which is violet, red, green, and blue. So we have blue, blue 2, right down, and then just violet 2, right, right. So then we move on to grid 2. Let's see. And again, I forgot how many subdivisions. I need to keep track of this. But the way I had OES before, it wasn't nice. You guys couldn't see it. So, let's see, we have 1, 2, 3 subdivisions. So that's still just 1 clockwise, which gives us red. So, we have blue, but it's a generation 2. So we go right in the main grid, which gives us red. So, our starting direction is right. And then we take, and then we use blue, because that's the generation 2. And that gives us another direction of right. Then we take blue as a previously flashing color, and then violet, and since violet is again a generation 2, we have to look at the initial grid, which was red. So that gives us a direction of up. And then generation 2, which is violet, gives us a direction of down. So, let's do this. We have right, then up, then down. And down is going to be green, violet, blue, red. Surprise, top still hasn't split. And now we're on grid 3. And I already forgot my my splits. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, since it's 2, I go 2 clockwise from violet, which is 1, 2. That gives us green. So green is our starting row. And let's write down the flashes again. We have red 2, down, down. Green 2, left, right. And blue 2, left, down. And if you're doing this in a voice bomb, then again, the best suggestion to do, or to say rather, is again read out the grid and then just say red something, and then it's the amount of necessary directions. So I always write down 1 more direction than necessary. So, let's see. All of these are Gen 2s, so let's just look at the initial directions to start with. So we have red, and it's initially going down, so that gives us green. And that gives us right. And the intersection, or rather, since we're done with this, with the generation 1, we can move on to generation 2, which is red, which gives us down. Now, we're done with that color, so we move red here as the row, and then we give green as, we start using green. And left, because it's a Gen 2, gives us blue, which gives us left. And then we go back to green, which gives us up. So then we use green as a row, and then we use blue. Left gives us blue, which is down, and left from blue gives us, or rather, blue is the generation 2, so we can use the same thing, which gives us down. So let's input this. So we go right, down, left, up, and down, down. So that is... okay, it was a bit hard to tell. So blue 2, down, right. Green 2, down, up, and then red, 2, right, down. And let me make sure I got the flashes correct. Red, green, blue, green, red. Yeah. So, we're on grid 4 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still using the initial row of green. Let's see. Blue, generation 2, we go down, and that gives us green, which is down. Then, the intersection of green and blue gives us down again. Switching blue to the column, green tells us to go down, which is green, and that gives us up. And then green tells us, or generation 2 green also gives us up. Okay, so now we use green as the row, and red as the column, or not red just yet, but we go right on the grid, which gives us red, so I guess it works out. And that gives us left. And then we use red again, and that gives us left. So it's down, down, we're on this mini grid now, up, then up, then left, left. So that's violet 1. Actually, is that the search sequence? No. We have green, 2, down, up, then violet 1, then green, 2, right, left. We're on grid 0 now. So clockwise from green is blue, since we switched. And blue gives us, or not blue, what am I saying? Down from green, or down from the main, because it's a generation 2, gives us green. So green and blue gives us right, and since generation 2 is also green, we use right. Then we use green as the row, violet as the column, which gives us a third right. Then violet as a row, green right, which is red. That gives us another right. And using using green as the final column gives us left. So let's see, we go right, then right, then right, then right, then left, then right. Let's see, so let's catch the start of the sequence. We have blue to left down, then green to right left, then green 3 left right up. And now we're on grid 1. So let's see, how many subdivisions is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7, we're on 1 before our initial main, which is violet, so we have blue still. Okay, blue is a generation 2. Left gives us blue, so that gives us down. And then we use blue again, which gives us down. Then we use blue as the row. Green right, which is red, that gives us right. And then green for the column, that gives us left. Make green the row. And let's see, let's start with this, since it's Gen 3. We go left, that gives us blue, which gives us down. Then we go to the left one, and we go right, which gives us green, and that's up. And then we finally use green, which also gives us up. So, let's input this. We have down, down, right, left, down, up, up. Wow, this one's even worse. Okay, I believe, I basically just had an aneurysm for the past about 5, maybe 10 minutes, because I think I forgot the initial color, and the log doesn't state what the initial color is. So, let's see. So I did one press while this segment I cut out, so you didn't miss much. So, let's see. We have violet 2, up, left, and then violet 2, right, right. So, our starting row right now is green, and violet turns. Okay, hold on. Violet, we go up to give us violet, and that gives us right. And because it's violet again, it gives us right. Then we have let's see. Then we have violet again, but we go right, so that's red, and that gives us now you change this, and that gives us down. And then violet with violet gives us left. So we go right, right, down, left, right.
Why?
Because that's not left. Wonderful. Okay, I was having... I basically had an aneurysm for the past about 5-7-ish minutes, because I believe I encountered a bug, but I could have just forgot my starting row. So I believe my initial color is green. So let's take a look at the colors of Flash. Actually, it's just left, left, red, or red 3, left, 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 or left, left, up. So that makes things easier. So we take our initial color of green, because that's what I have right now, and then we have a red generation 3. So we go left, that gives us blue, which is down. Left of left gives us red, which is down. And then red, which is generation 3, is down. So we go down, down, down.
This is exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen.
And that is Simon Subdivides. Yeah, so basically, the takeaway from this lesson is to keep track of your initial color. Because if you don't, then you are screwed. Thank you everybody for watching. I might make another tutorial soon, who knows. Depends if there's something that catches my eye. But yeah. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and get a job.